Welcome back to Sprague River Homestead on your Top 5 Tuesday. Now, I don't usually do rabbit videos on Tuesday. We usually talk about other stuff, but I've got enough people asking rabbit feeding questions that we're going to go ahead and do one today. So here we go with your top 5 questions about feeding meat rabbits. So the first question I've been getting a lot of is, I just got started into meat rabbits. I have the big J feeders. Can I fill them up every couple of days and just come back and feed every few days? This is really going to depend a lot on your rabbits. Some rabbits don't do so well with this. Some rabbits do phenomenal. The one thing that you're going to need to watch regardless is how fat are your rabbits getting. A lot of your big meat breeds, in particular, your New Zealands, your cows, your satins, a full J feeder, they will sit there and they will eat until it's gone. The other thing you'll get is a lot of times bucks in particular will dig all their feed out. So while it's not always a bad idea, it's not always a real good one. So it's going to depend a lot on your rabbits. So you're going to kind of want to watch them and see. Regardless, if you're only coming out to feed every couple of days, do come out and check your rabbits every day. Nobody wants to come back after 2 days and find rabbits have expired or are having some kind of problem, injury, etc. So if you can make it work every couple of days, that's fine. But do come back in and check them every single day. So the next common question that I'm getting is, my rabbits are dumping all their feed, what do I do? This kind of goes back to that whole J feeder thing. If you're just filling up for a couple of days and they're dumping all the feed, they're getting too much. They're not going to be rabbits, so you can just feed and walk away. In particular for us, what we do is we feed whatever it is that they need. Most of my rabbits are on a cup of feed a day. That's all they get. This keeps them from getting too fat, keeps them from dumping feed and anything like that. So if they're dumping feed, most of the time what's happening is they eat what they want and then they dump the rest out of boredom or whatever. You can try and change that up by providing them with toys, something to keep them busy. The other thing is, you may want to look at your feed. If it's not a very high quality feed, they may be dumping it because they flat out don't like it. We've had that happen over the years where we've gotten into a bag of feed that maybe was too dusty. They don't like it, they dig it out, they don't want to eat it. So to start with a couple things, try and step back to what they just need during the day. If that doesn't work, then really take a really hard look at your feed and see if there might be something else going on there. And 3, if they're doing it out of boredom, just give them something to do. They make a ton of clip-on rabbit toys. You can get some of the big plastic balls for dogs and cats at any of the dollar stores. They seem to do just fine with that. Just watch them for chewing them up because they will get that plastic in their digestive system. Okay, so the third thing we're getting is from people who say, hey, we're mixing our feed like you do, but the rabbits aren't eating it all. What can we do to make sure that they're getting everything that they need? This, again, is all about portion control. If you're giving them too much, rabbits, like people, will pick out what they want to eat until they're full and then discard the rest. The other thing you'll find a lot of times is if you've got a mom with babies and you're using like the bigger alfalfa pellets like we do, the babies don't always hold on to them real well and they'll drop them. So if you've got youngsters and you're finding a lot of big pellets in the pan, that's probably what's going on with it. If it's anybody else, step their feed down until they're eating all their ration, because when you're doing a mix like what we do, every single part of that makes up your protein, fat, and fiber count. So if they're skipping out on something, that's changing the nutritional value of what you're feeding, and you don't want that. So you've got to make sure that they're eating what you give them. The best way to do that, again, like we've mentioned before, is make sure you're not overfeeding, giving them just what they need for a day. Okay, so here's another one that I've been seeing a whole lot. What height should I set my feeders to in my cages? This goes particularly for J feeders or any of the clip-on feeders. Height is very important. If you set a J feeder where the bottom of the J is on the floor of the cage, you will encourage digging, especially in bucks. And I don't know why they do this in particular, but they do. So for a buck, if it's a big 10-pound, 8 to 10-pound buck, or even up to a 12-pound buck, you can go as high as 6 inches from the bottom of that feeder to the floor. This puts it at a good height, but it makes it very uncomfortable for them to get their feet in to dig. If you're doing does, we keep ours at 4 inches. Now I know when we've got little bitty babies that are starting to come out to eat, this can be a little bit high. If that's the case, just put a little bowl of feed in there. It's only going to take them a week or so to get big enough to get up into those J feeders and be able to eat. But the amount of feed you'll save by does and bucks not digging the feed out, and youngins for that matter too. Little babies will get in there and dig at it. So if it's up a little bit higher, it makes it more uncomfortable for everybody to dig, and it will save you a lot of feed in the long run. Okay, so the last question I've been getting is coming from a lot of you that are trying to transition, especially in the nice weather, to all green feeds, chards, kales, grasses, that kind of thing. I'm seeing a lot of people asking questions about rolling over and rabbits either getting bloated or diarrhea, or just people being preventative and saying, hey, what do I do first? Okay, so we've mentioned this before in some of these other videos. It's fine to feed greens, but you've got to take it slow. Think of it kind of like any other person. If you're eating a pretty balanced diet of proteins and vegetables and everything else, and tomorrow you woke up and decided you were going to go completely 100% salad. Seems a little extreme. I'm not talking vegan, I'm talking salad. I think you would spend an awful lot of time in the restroom. Think of it just the same way in rabbits. The rapid change throws all the flora in the gut off. You've got to take things slow. What we do is, if we're going to a much greener diet, is they may get a leaf of chard, and I'm not talking the great big chard, the smaller chard. They may get a leaf every day or every other day, depending on how the gut's working. And grass hay, lots of grass hay. When you're moving over to greens, grass hay will give all the extra fiber, and it will usually prevent bloat and any other digestive issues. So grass hay, and go slow. If you're going to all greens during the summer, it should take you probably 3 to 4 weeks to be at a place that you are on all greens. You try and go any faster than that, the odds of a bloat and even a bloat related death really high. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do it to your rabbits. Take your time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So take a month to do it, at least 3 weeks minimum, to make sure that they're getting transitioned over with no ill effects. If at any point while you are rolling over to greens, you find that your rabbits are getting diarrhea, pull all greens, nothing but hay for 72 hours, and start the reintroduction again. Okay, so that's your top 5 feeding questions for rabbits on this Top 5 Tuesday. If you have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, or I will put another one of these out. Hey, this stuff is all about you guys, so if you have questions, I will do my best to find out the answers. So that's it for today, and we'll see you next time.